installed it this weekend.
You should
So
really. I would say just go to icup.com and download their like mini version of StarCraft 1 so you can just have an appreciation for how easy StarCraft 2 is.
yeah, yeah.
Purely
Everybody tells me that it was like that was the thing because there was no pathing, you couldn't hotkey units or whatever, and I'm like that sounds miserable.
okay, here I'll break it down for you very very simply. You can maximally that's wait. You can only hotkey one building per control group and you had a maximum of 12 units per control group. You could not mix units or buildings. You had to individually put every single worker onto the mineral line yourself. There's no rally point that will automatically make them mine. And the buildings, when you place them, would not be flush with each other. So you could literally have three pylons in a row completely adjacent in the same line, occupying a 6x2 area. And lings, probes, zealots, marines, all of those could go in between each of the probes, each of the pylons at once.
Wow.
There's a good tiny synopsis of how hard that is, how the game could be to do SimCity, to control units, and I didn't even start touching on how bad the AI movement was.
That sounds miserable. Like that hurts my soul. That hurts my gaming soul.
But now think about here's some of the applications that make that so difficult. Zerglings. I actually don't need to go farther than that, to be honest. Just Zerg and Zerglings. Oh, also for Zerg, you only can have more larvae is if you had more hatcheries themselves. There's
What?
no spawn larva or anything. Um,
That's so crazy.
let's see what else. Or it's like some big. Oh yeah, also ramps in StarCraft 1. You if a unit attacked you from a higher ground, you could then get vision of it and you can attack it. However, 30% of the time you attack the unit on a higher ground, the unit will miss. The ranged attacks will miss. Um, Ramps, huge defensive advantage because of that, along with all the clunkiness of the units, meant that maybe, let's just say melee attacks, let's say zealots moving up a ramp, you'll maybe have to deal with two of them every 10 or 15 seconds.
Hmm.
Because it's just a huge defensive advantage. Um, there's also no warp-ins for anything. Obviously, just units come out of the gateways themselves. So you have to position gateways all around the map in order to have units in good spots. And also, here's another really subtle but still very difficult aspect of Brood War, is it was balanced through imbalance. Do you see what I like? Does that make any sense at all to you?
That makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
Oh my
Okay,
goodness.
I'm trying to think what the single most imbalanced thing is for every single race. For Terran, it was siege tanks. They had even more range than they do in StarCraft 2, and they dealt a ton more damage and more splash damage. For Protoss, I'm gonna say High Templar or Reavers. Both of them were very easily countered depending on the situation. But Reavers move incredibly slowly, are very large, very clunky. You have to build scarabs in them in order to attack. That each of them costs 15 minerals, but they travel almost as long as a siege tank did, and they deal a splash damage, and they deal 100 damage per shot. But they move very slowly, they attack very slowly, so you need to maneuver them around with shuttles if you're going to use them offensively. High Templar Storm lasted about 2 seconds and did 112 damage, which is an instant kill essentially for any kind of worker line. So you could literally drop down 2 High Templar, put down 2 Storms in the mirror line, and there's no workers at all for your opponent in that base. Compared to Storm drops now, where you might not even get a single worker kill.
Wow.
For Zerg, there's Dark Swarm. The Defiler and Hive Tech You in ZVT you basically survived until you get defilers, and then you won. In some situations, in most situations, that's pretty much how Zerg could view ZVT. Because of Dark Swarm, any unit inside this pink, purple, orange cloud, whatever the color is of it, I think it's orange cloud. It's just also a large cloud too. At that, it lasts for about a minute on the field. Any unit inside of it cannot be hit by ranged attacks. So
Wow.
Zerglings versus Marines. If there's 20 Marines and a single Ling inside that Dark Swarm, that Ling will win.
Huh.
So that's how you see how this thing is balanced by imbalanced.
Yeah, I can. Wow, that's. I yeah. Now I can see why people were like, okay, well, if you do this, this, and this, it's like an auto win because yeah, it would be very, very difficult.
Yeah, but another thing to realize is that I can now go through each of those examples and tell you how they looked stupid and couldn't do anything. Bec- it's the ridiculousness of all that that makes it an incredibly amazing game. And then you get to add in all the strategies on top of these things that were able to abuse these so-called imbalances or completely make them seem like why this can't be seen as imbalanced because it just got crushed by this. So maybe this other thing's imbalanced. And it just goes on and on and on.
Hmm. And I with all that, I'm guessing that that's how they did all the with people being able to get all those units and in such. And when you see the people that were really good at StarCraft now have the crazy ridiculous strategies and ease of APM,
Oh
trying
yeah.
to move those units around because of
Oh yeah.
that imbalance. Yeah.
Oh, and also the hotkeys all across the map. Marines were M. Probes were P. Pylons were P.
Wow.
Yeah. So you don't have the ease of literally using the left half of the keyboard for your left hand. It's you use your left hand and sometimes your right hand as well. Because with the AI as well, some people found it better to use the arrow keys to move your screen instead of the mouse. I'm pretty sure
That's crazy.
Boxer did that. He used his arrow keys. So can you just imagine like your hands trying to dance around and doing those motions?
Yeah, your hand would just be going absolutely everywhere at the same time. You're having to like move the screen because I'm sure there wasn't a really easy screen movement. I guess you could have. I guess you could have hotkeyed your bases with the F1 keys. I heard somebody say that you could do that.
F2, F3, F4 only. You would do Shift F2 to set it, Shift F3 to set it, Shift F4 to set it. You could just tap F2, F3, F4 and it'll go to those screens. But each of those screens was occupied by production facilities and rally
Yeah.
point settings. You would have to do that. Could you imagine setting every single rally point for your 20 gateways that you have to do? The rally points for your hatcheries where you have to balance where you send your drones to where you send your units? You would, because there's no worker rally and unit rally from those hatcheries either. It's crazy how much mechanical ease there is in StarCraft 2.